On the day of registration at Kyoto University, Axel Zhao dragged me along to the school, took out the admission letter, and handed it to me. "You ignored me all summer, I'm giving you a chance this time. Help your big brother finish the registration." I couldn't help but laugh. Axel Zhao, what kind of daydream are you having? Kyoto Vocational College, and you have the nerve to compare it to Kyoto University. Hearing this, Axel Zhao froze, amidst the mocking gazes around him. He tore open the dusty admission letter and broke down on the spot. "Why didn't you change it back for me?" I scoffed. "Didn't you tell me not to meddle in other people's business?" When I discovered that Axel Zhao's college application had been changed to a vocational school, my heart skipped a beat. I touched my legs and my head. Both were intact, and I almost burst into tears. I was reborn, back to the day when Axel Zhao was about to change his college application, in my previous life. The class beauty Myra Shu carelessly filled out a remote vocational college application for him. After I found out, I tried my best to stop her and harshly criticized her irresponsible behavior. Myra Shu felt humiliated, apologized in tears, and then ran out. Unexpectedly, she missed a step, fell down the stairs, and became paralyzed from the waist down. Unable to bear it, she took her own life. Axel Zhao blamed it all on me, saying I had meddled in something that wasn't my business. The day before I was supposed to report to school, he tricked me into going up to the rooftop and pushed me off. Now, I pretend to know nothing. Myra Shu, seeing me approach, quickly turned off her computer in a panic and looked at me guiltily. "Lena Chen, what did you just see? I see you changed your application choices." Hearing this, she suddenly sneered. "Then don't even think about tattling. I'm going to the same university as him. I don't care, it's none of my business." As soon as the words were spoken, Axel Zhao walked in. Seeing Myra Shu and me in the classroom, he looked wary and said, "Lena Chen, aren't you annoying, following me around like a shadow?" I bent down to pull all the review materials out of the drawer before finally speaking up. "Is the school owned by your family? If you can come, why can't I?" He was taken aback, not expecting this attitude from me. In the past, I would always speak gently to him or follow behind him apologizing. Seeing him hanging out with Myra Shu, I even tried my best to persuade him to focus on his studies. But now, what does any of that have to do with me? I packed my things, slung my backpack over my shoulder, and was about to leave when Myra Shu quickly said, "Wait. I just made a quick change to Axel Zhao's application preferences. Could you help take a look and give some advice?" She confidently showed the screen, and Axel Zhao glanced at it before turning to me. "Well, weren't you pretty confident before?" I shrugged. "I'm not really interested in these things." He grabbed me by the arm. "What do you mean? Didn't you say you were going to take the Peking University entrance exam with me? You don't even have a reaction. Respect others' wishes. Do as you please." I shook him off and walked away. Axel Zhao was furious behind me and kicked the table hard, but I ignored him. We hadn't gone far when our small group chat exploded. "Axel Zhao, Myra Shu signed you up for a vocational college. Are you just letting her do whatever she wants? Your scores are high enough for Jingda University." "Axel Zhao, what's there to worry about? Lena Chen will change it back for me later anyway. I just heard you two arguing. Aren't you afraid she'll just walk away and leave you to handle it yourself? You should really pay more attention to your own matters." "Axel Zhao, she's like a mother hen. She'd never bear to just abandon things." "Axel Zhao, we argue, but I'll just coax her and she'll come back." I scoffed. "Handle your own business yourself. I'm not your mother." Axel Zhao was furious, and the next second, I was removed from the group chat. This is a common tactic. Whenever we argued in the past, he would kick me out of the group, and I would have to apologize to him humbly before he would add me back. This time, I didn't care anymore. I blocked him directly, left all the group chats, and only kept in touch with a few close friends on WeChat. After graduation, some relationships can be cut off completely. In this lifetime, I will no longer interfere in others' affairs. I'll just focus on myself. "Axel Zhao, I can't wait to see the expression on your face when you receive the notice." After returning home, I packed up all the gifts Axel Zhao had given me over the years and threw them into the trash, even though we had over a decade of friendship. Since he pushed me off the building in my past life, no matter how much it pains me, I can't forgive him. While taking out the trash, I happened to run into Axel Zhao's mom. She greeted me from afar. "Lena, Have you seen Axel Zhao? That kid isn't answering my calls or replying to my messages. I don't know. Auntie, then could you make a phone call and ask for me? I spread my hands. Auntie, I didn't bring my phone down with me. Otherwise, you could call and ask his friend. Goodbye. Aunt Huang. Before she could speak, I made an excuse about having something to do and left. In my previous life, after I died, my parents were devastated. They discovered that Axel Zhao had gone to the rooftop with me. But Aunt Huang, knowing full well that Axel Zhao was involved in my death, destroyed the surveillance footage and even illegally arranged a psychiatric diagnosis certificate for him. She had been quite good to me before, but when it came to her own son, everyone else had to step aside, even if it meant committing perjury. Now, I don't want to have too much to do with her. As soon as I got home, I received a WeChat message from a friend. Lena, come out for dinner. There's a new barbecue place downtown. You can feast for just a few dozen bucks. I immediately agreed. No problem. Let's invite Zhongmo and go together. When we arrived, Zhongmo patted me and said, "Isn't that Axel Zhao and his friends? I heard he scored over 600 points and tells everyone he's going to Peking University." Oh well, Myra Shu said she wants to team up with him. But she only scored a little over 200 points. Even if I just stepped on the answer sheet, I'd get more than that, and she wants to team up. Fang Cheng made a sarcastic face and pulled a funny expression, making all of us burst into laughter. Just then, Axel Zhao came over. When he saw me, he sneered, "Lena Chen, you just never go away, do you? Didn't you say you were done with this? Why are you following us again?" Zhongmo and the others were a bit worried, but I said calmly, "Is this your shop? The owner opened the door to do business, and you're not going to let us come in to eat. Move aside, a good dog doesn't block the way." I pushed him aside and walked to the front desk to verify the coupon. His face turning livid, Zhongmo gave a thumbs up. "Way to go, Lena, you've really stepped up." I have nothing to do with him anymore. Axel Zhao, who was following behind, gritted his teeth and said, "Fine, Lena Chen, you'd better not meddle in other people's business." I ignored him and went to eat with my friend. Right across from us was Axel Zhao, as if he had done it on purpose. He and Myra Shu were feeding each other, which made me nauseous. I turned a blind eye and focused on grilling the meat. Halfway through the meal, I went to the restroom, and just then, a strong force pulled me aside. It was Axel Zhao. I frowned, but he held his phone in front of me. "Why did you block me?" "I blocked you because I wanted to." "Axel Zhao, we're done. You think I meddle too much, and I don't like chasing after you. Besides, didn't you say you have a girlfriend? If that's the case, it's better if we keep our distance. Add me back. Otherwise it'll be so inconvenient to get in touch. We can go to Kyoto University together later." After saying that, he tried to snatch my phone, but I grabbed it back. "Axel Zhao, get this straight. After graduation, we have no connection anymore. It's my freedom to choose who I want to be friends with." Axel Zhao's mouth fell open, but before he could speak, I cut him off. "Also, be more polite when we meet in the future. I'm not anyone special to you, so at least show some basic courtesy." "Okay." I gave him a cold look and walked away. Axel Zhao was furious and was about to call out to me when Myra Shu arrived. It seemed like he was deliberately provoking me. As he suddenly held Myra Shu's head and kissed her, my heart ached with sharp pain, but I quickly smiled and calmly walked past him. Respect others' fate. I'm not some desperate person. After that, Axel Zhao never contacted me again, and I didn't reach out to him either. It was my mom who seemed a bit surprised. "Lena, hasn't Axel Zhao been absent for a few days?" "Mom, he's already graduated, and besides, he has a girlfriend. Naturally, he should be spending time with her." Hearing this, my mom was instantly astonished. "A girlfriend? Then he and I are just neighbors, that's all." Hearing my explanation, my mom was stunned, and my dad chuckled beside me, saying, "That's right, they're just neighbors. Whether they come or not has nothing to do with us. Now that our daughter's college entrance exams are over, let's go on a trip." Hearing this, I was instantly thrilled. "Dad, I want to go to Disneyland." "No problem, I'll take some annual leave, and we can go out for a trip together to relax." My mom happily agreed, and the whole family was immersed in the atmosphere of searching for travel guides, completely unaware of the WeChat notification. After I finalized the travel plan, I finally noticed that Zhongmo had sent me a screenshot, saying, Do you think Axel Zhao is out of his mind? He deliberately sent this for me to show you. I took a look. It was a screenshot of his college application, clearly showing Jinju Vocational College. Seeing this, I laughed. He's deliberately hinting at me, but unfortunately, I've already blocked him. Lena, what's going on? Didn't he apply to Peking University? Myra Shu signed him up for it. Is he crazy? Zhong Mo was instantly shocked. Is he playing with his own future? Forget it. Respect others' fate. Zhong Mo thought he had a problem with his head, so she also blocked him. I laughed, and the next day our whole family packed up and went on a trip. I posted a lot of photos on my social media, went to Disneyland, and even had a buffet. Sure enough, Magic City has its own currency, and it's eating a hole in my wallet, but I'm still very happy. That night, while staying at the hotel, I received a call from an unknown number. It was Axel Zhao's voice. I heard you're traveling. Where to next? I'm going to check out Capital University. I want to get familiar with the environment in advance. Hearing this, he immediately laughed. Lena Chen, add me back. When you return, I have a gift for you. I promised, and that will never change. Axel Zhao. People must take responsibility for their choices. He was about to speak when Myra Shu's voice came from the other end of the phone. Axel, grab a towel for me. He quickly hung up the phone. I looked at the friend request on my phone and decisively rejected it. The time had already reached 11:50. Axel Zhao, with only 10 minutes left to change the course of your life, I hope you can take responsibility for yourself. I've said all I need to say. I owe you nothing. At that moment, a friend request from Myra Shu popped up. Lena Chen, please accept the friend request. I ignored it, but she persisted relentlessly. I booked a hotel room with Axel Zhao. No matter what happened between you two before, he's mine now. He won't go to Peking University with you. He'll be mine for the rest of his life. I scoffed and blocked her. You two can just stay locked together forever. I have my own path to walk. As time passed minute by minute, I finalized my college application choices and took a deep breath. When the clock struck midnight and the final second ticked away, I let out a long sigh of relief. Axel Zhao, our lives part ways here. After our trip, it was already a week later when we returned. I went straight to my grandparents' house and stayed there for over a month. By the time I came back, it was almost the start of the school year, and I had already received my admission notice. Axel Zhao intercepted me on the day I returned home. Didn't I tell you to add me back? You've been gone for over a month. Do you know how worried I was? All right, I won't yell at you anymore. Hurry up and add me back, as soon as we met. He stopped me in a tone that couldn't be ignored and held his phone out in front of me. I stayed silent, but he stubbornly stood there without moving. Seeing him like this, I sighed and finally added him back. Axel Zhao was finally satisfied. Lena Chen, don't be so temperamental with me from now on. Besides you, I won't talk to any other girls. Are you satisfied now? Hearing him say that, I couldn't help but feel a bit surprised. What, did Myra Shu dump you? His face immediately darkened. What do you mean dumped? Don't say it so harshly. There was never anything between us. I just wanted to make you jealous on purpose. Lena, we agreed to go to the same top university together. She only scored a little over 200 points and is going to a junior college. How could I possibly be with her? Hearing this, I laughed. Axel Zhao, what exactly is our relationship? We're just neighbors. Don't talk about jealousy and give people the wrong idea. I don't want it to affect my chances of finding a boyfriend. Axel Zhao's face darkened. Lena Chen, what nonsense are you talking? We grew up together since childhood sweethearts, and you still want to find a boyfriend? I shrugged and took a step back. We're just neighbors. No. We're not even neighbors, childhood friends. We've just been classmates for over a decade. Axel Zhao, we've grown up now. Shouldn't we take responsibility for what we've done? My words made Axel Zhao frown slightly. Lena Chen, what are you talking about? That's so random. After saying that, he shoved a box into my hands. A gift for you. I opened it and took a look. It was a necklace, but the pendant was strange, a pearl, and it looked quite familiar. This is your birthday gift. I waited a month and a half to give it to you. So, am I a good friend or what? Have dinner with me tonight. No, I have guests at home. Sorry, and thank you for the gift. Goodbye. I turned and went upstairs. Axel Zhao lives 3 floors below me. He's on the 3rd floor, and I'm on the 6th. There really were quite a few people at my place. Upon hearing that I was admitted to Kyoto University, all my relatives at home urged me to set off firecrackers to celebrate. I stopped them, saying, "No need to make such a big fuss and attract envy. Besides, the neighbor downstairs might not have done well on his exams. If he sees this, he'll have something to say about it." My dad also nodded in agreement. "That kid just doesn't get it. We'll treat you all to a meal in a couple of days when we're about to leave." After returning home, I told my dad about Axel Zhao, learning that he scored over 600 points but applied to a vocational college. My dad sighed with regret and bluntly called him love-struck, also said, "I should have less contact with someone like him who doesn't have a good mind." I also think so, in the past, because he was close to Myra Shu, and Myra Shu got along well with people outside the school. I warned him, but he was unhappy. Lena Chen, how can you judge people by their appearance? She is completely innocent with those troublemakers. They are just friends. Don't judge friendships by appearances. No profession is inherently noble or humble. Even though he's a troublemaker, he's still very loyal. Later, when he went out with Myra Shu and didn't come back all night, I was the one who found him and forced him to study with me. I even threatened him, saying that if he continued like this, I would tell the teacher to force him to live on campus, and even inform Aunt Huang. Only then did he back down, but deep down, he still resented me a bit. I don't understand why. I was just trying to pull him out of hell. Based on our childhood friendship of over a decade, he thinks I'm trying to harm him, and even wants to retaliate against me. Now I've decided to respect his choice and stop making so many demands of him. Yet he's the one who's come chasing after me. I don't know how far he and Myra Shu got in our past life, but it must have been to the point where he couldn't live without her. Otherwise he wouldn't have gone so far as to cause my death for her sake. This time, I'm stepping aside to let them get closer. I suppose he won't hold it against me anymore, and since he can be at the same school as his beloved Myra, I won't be the one to break them apart. School is starting in just a few days. So our family invited relatives and friends to have a meal together. When Aunt Huang saw us come out, she asked what we were doing. My dad casually mentioned it, and she immediately frowned. By all accounts, our Axel Zhao should have received his acceptance letter by now. I don't know what's up with that kid. He's hiding it and won't let me see it. I still don't know what Peking University's acceptance letter looks like. Lena, show me yours. I smiled and opened the admission letter to show it to her. Aunt Huang gently touched the letter, her eyes full of tenderness. "That rascal insisted he got into the same school as you and said he wouldn't show it until registration day. I have no idea what he's up to, playing all mysterious." I smiled without saying anything. Aunt Huang probably didn't know yet. He didn't actually get into Jing University but a vocational college. She'll probably be furious when she finds out. As she walked away, Aunt Huang muttered, "The cover of the admission letter looked different to me." We didn't say much more. The three of us exchanged a glance and left right away. After treating to a meal, it was time to report. My dad bought me a plane ticket, and I arrived early. On the way, I received a WeChat message from Axel Zhao. "Lena Chen, why did you leave without me? Still holding a grudge? Huh, didn't I tell you already? How can you be so petty? I even gave you a gift, and you didn't even treat me to a meal. Just wait until we get to Jing University. I'll teach you a lesson." Seeing this message from him, I couldn't help but laugh. He really thought I couldn't live without him. The birthday gift he gave me earlier, I was wondering why it looked so familiar. The chain was probably bought by him, but the pearl on the pendant was clearly the decoration from Aunt Huang's clothes. He didn't even bother to pretend, just threw something together and gave it to me. The original necklace pendant was a piece of jade, which I saw in Myra Shu's short video. I didn't accept her WeChat friend request, but Myra Shu has her own account where she posts short videos documenting her every day with Axel Zhao. On the very day I received my birthday gift, I saw Myra Shu post a new video. She was wearing a necklace around her neck. The chain was a simple silver one, but the pendant was exceptionally eye-catching. It was clearly carved from high-quality jade in the shape of a water droplet. She captioned it, "Whatever I want, no matter what it is, you have to give it to me. You only deserve the trash I leave behind." I shook my head and, before leaving, asked my dad to return this box to Axel Zhao. I suppose he hasn't received it yet. At this moment, Axel Zhao kept sending me messages, and I was so annoyed that I just told him, "I'm coming by plane." Axel Zhao quickly replied, Go ahead and scout the place first. When I get there, you'll have to treat me to a meal. Why did he sound so entitled? Doesn't he realize he's not even a student at Jing University? I didn't reply to him. After arriving at Jing University, I sent a message to my parents to let them know I was safe. I've always been quite independent, and I had already adapted to Kyoto University in advance, so I didn't let them see me off. It wasn't until the third day that Axel Zhao arrived. Lena Chen, where have you been? I'm at the student registration office. Come over right now. He urged me to go over, and since I had just signed up for a club, I turned around and headed straight to the registration office. Seeing Axel Zhao, I couldn't help but let out a scornful laugh. Noticing my arrival, he waved at me from a distance, then tossed the admission notice and ID card over to me. Hurry up and help me check in. Who told you to come early by yourself? I've been looking for you for ages. After you finish, you're treating me to a meal. Don't forget. I looked at the hint of mockery on his face, tore open the admission notice, glanced at it, and then slapped it back to him, trying to pull a scam even at Jing University, Jingju Vocational College. How dare you come to Jing University to check in? Upon hearing this, Axel Zhao's playful smile froze on his face. What nonsense are you talking about? Even so, he still lowered his head to take a look. When he saw the words on the admission notice, his hands trembled instantly. I tilted my head and looked at him. Axel Zhao, don't you know which school you applied to yourself? He suddenly looked up at me, his face full of shock, his voice trembling. Lena Chen, this joke isn't funny at all. Who's joking with you? Hurry up and report to the junior college. If you delay, you'll miss the classes. He stared at me in disbelief, suddenly realizing something, and grabbed my wrist tightly. Why didn't you help me change my application? Why? He raised his voice, his eyes red, gripping my hand so hard it hurt. I pushed him away abruptly. Are you crazy? Why should I change the application you submitted yourself? Axel Zhao, I've told you before, people have to take responsibility for their actions. The college application is so important, and you didn't listen when I reminded you, but you clearly know. I just wanted to make you jealous. Enough, I've said it before, we're just neighbors living in the same building and classmates for over a decade. I'm not someone to you. Take responsibility for your own application. If you want to make me jealous, don't play with your own future. You're so childish. Axel Zhao suddenly trembled, clutching his head and letting out a heart-wrenching scream. He kept kneeling on the ground, pounding the floor. Seeing him like this, I called Aunt Huang. I was really afraid something might happen to him. It wouldn't be good if he died at school. It was supposed to be a joyous day. New students were registering, all filled with hope and excitement. We couldn't let Axel Zhao ruin it. People nearby gathered around, and upon hearing what I said, everyone was shocked. God, is this person out of their mind, gambling with their own future like this? Who in the world lets someone else fill out their college applications and then expects them to make changes? Are they a giant baby or what? It's too late for regrets now. Dude, how many points did you even score to get into Jingju Vocational College? Axel Zhao slumped to the ground, speechless. After a long while, he looked at me. Lena Chen, are you getting back at me? I spread my hands. I've already informed Aunt Huang and asked them to come over. How to handle this? You'll have to explain it to them yourself. With that, I turned to leave. Axel Zhao suddenly stepped forward and grabbed my hand. Lena Chen, you did this on purpose, right? You saw me with Myra Shu, got jealous, and deliberately didn't help me change my application. Didn't you? Do you have any idea? You've ruined me. He raised his voice, shouting at me angrily. The classmates around couldn't stand it anymore, and an upperclassman came over and pushed him aside. What's wrong with you? The application account and password were yours. Why did you ask her to change it for you? Jingju Vocational College. Didn't you apply there yourself? Isn't confirming your college application choices your own responsibility? The admission letter arrived, and you didn't even open it. Only on registration day did you realize you weren't admitted to Jing University. Did you take responsibility for yourself? How can you shift the blame onto someone else? These 3 questions left him speechless. I then turned to Axel Zhao and said, Myra Shu helped you submit and modify your application choices, and she only accessed your account and password with your permission. At that time, she was your girlfriend. Shouldn't you be taking this up with her instead? What's the point of coming to me? Axel Zhao, this is not how you stage a scam. If you keep making a scene, I'm calling the police." Axel Zhao stared at me with bloodshot eyes, then burst into loud sobbing. I had no choice but to call the police. When the police arrived and learned about this farcical situation, they were utterly stunned, never expecting to encounter someone like this in the world. However, they couldn't say much and simply dragged Axel Zhao away. Watching him leave, I thanked the senior who had helped me earlier and returned to my dorm. Soon, the news about Axel Zhao exploded across the school and the nearby university town. Shocked, folks, a soon-to-be college student makes a huge blunder. Jingju Vocational College tries to pass off as Jing University, scoring over 600 points and ending up at a vocational college. It's simply jaw-dropping. Aunt Huang and the others rushed over the next day. The moment they saw Axel Zhao, they were instantly furious, especially since Myra Shu was also at that school. Aunt Huang and the others chased after Axel Zhao. Myra Shu actually had the nerve to rush out and shield Axel Zhao, stubbornly insisting that they were true love and that she would be with Axel Zhao no matter what. In a fit of anger, Axel Zhao pinned Myra Shu to the ground and hit her. Upon learning that Myra Shu was the mastermind behind it all, Aunt Huang also lost her composure, and the mother and son beat the young girl until she was bruised and battered. Myra Shu screamed, calling the police and taking photos of her injuries as evidence. The entire Jingju College has been buzzing with Axel Zhao's heroic deeds these past 2 days, and as I sat in my dorm eating my melon, I couldn't help but find it somewhat amusing. The situation dragged on for a week, with Axel Zhao stubbornly refusing to stay here, and in the end, he had no choice but to go back and repeat the year. By the time the news reached me, I was already in military training. After the training ended, my dad called me and brought it up, mentioning that Aunt Huang blamed us for not giving them a heads up. My dad said over the phone, "I knew all along they were unreasonable. Luckily, you kept the chat records." I slapped them right in her face on the spot and even got the neighbors to testify. Everyone scolded her so badly she couldn't even lift her head. What kind of person is this? They don't even care about their own future, and yet they blame others. My father was furious, and I chuckled on my end. Don't bother with them. They're just a bunch of clowns. Your daughter is already studying at Peking University, and in 4 years, I'll be taking the postgraduate entrance exam. I won't let you down. My father's joy was written all over his face. Of course, my daughter is so outstanding, not like her son, who's so driven by lust. I heard the girl is pregnant and even came to his house demanding compensation. The girl's parents are making a huge scene at their place, rolling around and causing a fuss. These past couple of days, the stairway we used to come and go has been completely blocked. It's so inconvenient. What a mess. To have neighbors like this. Hearing this, I was utterly shocked. I never expected them to go this far. I only knew they had checked into a hotel, but what I didn't know was that they didn't even take any safety measures. Myra Shu got pregnant just in her freshman year, and she even got beaten up, yet the baby didn't miscarry. Truly resilient. I couldn't help but feel a sense of admiration, but all of this had nothing to do with me anymore. How their family handled it was their own business. After the military training ended, I went back home during the National Day holiday, only to find a double happiness character pasted on the door of the 3rd floor. My mom told me that Axel Zhao was forced to marry Myra Shu. Myra Shu changed her college application choice, and the Zhao family demanded compensation. But at the same time, Myra Shu became pregnant, and the Shu family also demanded compensation from them, threatening to sue for rape otherwise. In the end, both families ended up in a lose-lose situation, and they could only have them get married and obtain the marriage certificate. But they didn't hold a wedding banquet, and the child still had to go to school. Myra Shu got pregnant and gave birth as soon as she entered school, which was also a very shocking incident. Axel Zhao went to a cram school for retaking the college entrance exam. When he came back during the National Day holiday, he had clearly lost a lot of weight, with sunken eye sockets and a gaunt face. When he saw me, he opened his mouth and leaned in close, about to speak, but tears fell first. "Lena Chen, am I terribly wrong? I gambled with my own future as a joke, hoping you'd turn back. I was wrong, I was wrong. I took a step back to create distance between us. Axel Zhao, if you realize your mistake, correct it. I believe you can do it, but at the same time, I also believe that not everyone can succeed in repeating a year of study. For example, Axel Zhao. If it were just him, it might be possible, but now there's also Myra Shu. One is at home, the other is far away, not to mention that Myra Shu is pregnant and needs constant care. Axel Zhao looked at me, his eyes filled with regret. Lena Chen, I regret it, I'm sorry, it must have been so painful for you back then. Hearing this, I trembled all over instantly. Axel Zhao. There's no such thing as a cure for regret in this world. I've said it before, everyone must take responsibility for their actions. He looked at me with a face full of guilt. I knew you were angry all along, that you never forgave me. Ever since I got together with Myra Shu, you haven't said a single word to me. You warned me countless times, but I was too arrogant. But Lena, how could you be so heartless? We had over a decade of friendship, and you just threw me aside like that. Axel Zhao grew agitated, while I remained utterly calm. And what about you? When you caused my death, did you ever think about our friendship? I stepped closer to him. When you pushed me off the building and fabricated medical records as evidence, did you ever think about my family? Axel Zhao. If you do something wrong, you have to pay the price. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You've got Myra Shu. Does it really matter whether you go to Peking University or not? The shock in Axel Zhao's eyes was palpable. So you knew all along, you came back too, and you deliberately didn't warn me. Lena Chen, you're so cruel. Could I be any more ruthless than you? Do you know what it feels like to fall from the 13th floor, all my bones shattered, everything before my eyes turning red, the pain tearing my heart and lungs apart? My soul refused to disperse, staying by my parents' side, watching them bury their child, watching them die in sorrow. I wish I could make you die, I just won't remind you. You were the one who told me not to meddle in your business. Axel Zhao staggered back 2 steps, then suddenly burst into wild laughter. I was wrong. You can hit me, scold me, do anything you want. Please, can we try one more time? Go back to the day we filled out our college applications. Help me change it back. Please. He grabbed my hand, and only then did I notice that his pants pocket was bulging, shaped like a dagger. Instantly terrified, I shoved him away and took off running. Axel Zhao followed behind me. Lena Chen, if you die one more time, you can go back to the past, and if we go back to the past, I can get into Peking University. I screamed for help while running and happened to run into a patrolling police officer. Uncle Police, save me, he's trying to kill me. Without a word, the police officer pinned Axel Zhao to the ground and found a dagger in his pocket. Instantly making Axel Zhao famous again, he attempted murder in the street, and the neighbors sighed in disbelief, all saying he couldn't get into Kyoto University and that there was something wrong with his mind. Aunt Huang and the others hurried to the police station, seeing that I had finished giving my statement. Aunt Huang knelt down in front of me with a thud. Lena, please forgive him, he didn't mean it. I looked at Aunt Huang, but before I could say anything, my dad rushed over and started yelling at her. Your son didn't do it on purpose, he planned it all along. Thank goodness there were patrol officers today, or my daughter would have been hacked to death by your son. If your family has issues, go get treatment, stop harming others, okay? Our daughter just started her first year of college, are you trying to ruin her life? My dad, my mom, and the grandparents who rushed over, all 6 of them, shouted at them in unison. Aunt Huang was completely torn apart by their scolding. Suddenly, I felt that being protected by family is truly wonderful. In my previous life, Aunt Huang helped Axel Zhao avoid disaster by having him declared mentally ill. This time, I firmly demand a psychiatric evaluation for Axel Zhao to ensure he has no mental issues. If he does, then he should spend the rest of his life in a mental hospital. If not, he should pay the price and serve his time in prison as he deserves. Aunt Huang never expected me to be so ruthless. Lena, you two grew up together since childhood, I interrupted her. Aunt Huang, childhood sweethearts isn't the right term to use, we were just classmates since we were kids, and neighbors at that. I can't control what he does, but don't forget, Axel Zhao has a wife. Is it fair to say something like that to me now? Is it fair to Myra Shu? Is it fair to the Shu family? Is it fair to the child in her womb? My series of questions left her speechless, and the police quickly confirmed that Axel Zhao had undergone a psychiatric evaluation. Sure enough, he had gone mad. He kept babbling about rebirth, saying that killing me would let him start over. It was finally determined that he had a mental illness. Although he avoided prison, I strongly insisted that he be sent to a psychiatric hospital for treatment. Aunt Huang and the others had no choice but to comply, and the news of Axel Zhao being admitted to a psychiatric hospital reached Myra Shu's ears. She had a miscarriage and returned to file for divorce. Myra Shu said, "I was originally willing to face hardships with him, but who knew his mental resilience was so weak? Since that's the case, I can't let him hold me back." She immediately divorced him and left. I sometimes really admire Myra Shu. She's the type to act on a whim and leave without hesitation. But Myra Shu didn't let Axel Zhao off the hook either. After all, getting married and divorced made her a divorcee, and she also had an abortion. In this small town, the news has spread like wildfire. On top of that, everyone in our small town knows about Axel Zhao failing to get into Peking University and developing a mental illness. So Myra Shu couldn't stay here any longer and had to leave for another place. But she blamed all of this on Axel Zhao. Her gang of friends would frequently cause trouble for Aunt Huang and her family, either demanding money or sabotaging their work. Aunt Huang and her family were endlessly annoyed and eventually sold their house to compensate Myra Shu with a sum of money, which finally settled the matter. But Axel Zhao's life is pretty much ruined. 4 years later, I was admitted to graduate school, and Axel Zhao was released. I saw him near Jingda University. My dad said he had gone missing right after getting out, and I didn't think much of it, but seeing his figure still made me a little wary. But Axel Zhao didn't come looking for me. He just wandered around the area near Jingda, had a meal, and then left. I felt a huge sense of relief. 2 days later, I received an unfamiliar message. "I'm sorry. I knew it was Axel Zhao, but I didn't reply. Instead, I blocked the number." A few more days passed, and I saw a news report. An outsider with mental illness stabbed a hostess, resulting in 1 death and 1 injury. The one who died was Myra Shu. She was stabbed more than a dozen times by Axel Zhao and died on the spot. Axel Zhao stabbed her to death and tried to flee, but the bar's bouncers chased him. In a panic, he climbed to the 4th floor and fell, resulting in a high-level spinal cord injury and paralysis. At least he's still alive. Aunt Huang and the others brought Axel Zhao back home. He wept bitterly. His personality changed drastically, and he became prone to violence, often hitting people. The neighbors couldn't stand the noise and filed a joint complaint. Additionally, their current home was too small, and since Axel Zhao had to eat, drink, and relieve himself at home, the smell became unbearable. Aunt Huang and the others had no choice but to move again. The couple lived in an old house in the suburbs with Axel Zhao, who reportedly screamed and shouted inside every day, causing the elderly couple to age more than a decade. Eventually, they couldn't take it anymore and ran away. When Axel Zhao was found, his body had already begun to decompose. At that time, I had just graduated with my master's degree, signed a job offer, and took my parents on a spontaneous trip. The future looks bright, and I will cherish every day of the present. The end. That concludes the first story. Stay tuned. The next one is even more exciting. Sign, or I'll have you die in the hospital. On the hospital bed in the late stages of liver cancer, my husband threw the divorce papers in my face, with his dazzling white moonlight standing beside him. 25 years of marriage, and all I got from him was, "If I had known a country girl like you would only hold me back, I would never have given up the city." Childhood sweetheart from the neighborhood, the stepdaughter I raised with my own hands sneered, "Stop pretending, you wicked stepmother." In my moment of breakdown, I picked up a scalpel and took him down with me. When I opened my eyes again, my reborn husband shoved my hand away. "Let's break up. You're not worthy of me." The technical backbone of this factory. I wasn't angry, just smiled mockingly. "Without my father's factory, how could a middle school graduate like you become an engineer?" A sharp pain in my wrist pulled me back from the darkness. Dane Lee flung my hand away with such force that I stumbled. "Let's break up, Ria Lin. As a key technical expert in this factory, someone like you, a country bumpkin who's never seen the world, will never be worthy of me." I couldn't steady myself and fell to the ground. The dull ache from my knees hitting the concrete was nothing compared to the stabbing pain in my heart. Dane Lee didn't even glance at me, turning around and striding out of the workshop, a disdainful sneer curling at the corner of his mouth. "Xiaoyan." His voice suddenly softened, his arms opening wide as he rushed toward the woman standing at the factory gate. That woman, Hu Xiaoyan, a triumphant smile spreading across her smooth face, threw herself into Dane Li's arms. Dane, I knew you wouldn't let me down. How could a country girl like her ever be worthy of someone like you? Dane Li wrapped his arm around her slender waist and kissed her lips in front of everyone. I knelt on the ground, blood seeping through my torn pants. Mixing with tears as they dripped onto the floor, my heart ached so much I could barely breathe. Dad rushed out of the office, his face turning ashen at the sight. Dane Li, what is the meaning of this? Dane Li let out a cold snort and wrapped his arm around Hu Xiaoyan's shoulder. Director Lin, to be honest, if I had known your daughter, this country girl, would only hold me back, I would never have given up my childhood sweetheart in the city. You, Dad trembled with anger, his finger shaking as he pointed at Dane Li. Don't be angry, father-in-law. Oh, I mean, ex-father-in-law. Dane Li grinned. Thanks to you promoting me to a key technical position, I will be grateful to you for the rest of my life. But as for being your son-in-law, I won't take that role anymore. I realized I had been reborn. I tried to push myself up from the ground with my hands, only to find my legs weak and my whole body trembling uncontrollably. Look at how pathetic you are. Dane Li turned his head and glanced at me disdainfully. A country bumpkin will always be a country bumpkin. Seen the world? The factory workers gathered around, pointing and whispering. I heard she's been dating Dane Li for almost 2 years, and now it's over. She's really overestimating herself. A toad lusting after a swan's flesh. Who told her to be the factory director's daughter? Otherwise, would Dane Li have taken a liking to her appearance? Without Director Lin, she wouldn't even have a duh. No one was watching her. Each word felt like a knife stabbing into my heart. My face burned with shame, and I wished I could find a crack to crawl into. Dad hurriedly helped me up, his arm trembling, his voice low and furious. Dane Li, I'm giving you 3 days to clear out of the dorm, and you don't need to come to work anymore. Hu Xiaoyan immediately stepped forward. Director Lin, you can't do this. Dane is a key technical expert in the factory. You can't just, for personal matters, Shut up, Dad roared. You have no say in this. Dane Li calmly patted Hu Xiaoyan's shoulder and reassured her. Don't be afraid, Xiaoyan. He wouldn't dare fire me, in the factory. Those technical issues can't be handled without me. If he fires me, the whole factory will shut down. After saying that, he smugly put his arm around Hu Xiaoyan and strode off, leaving only my father and me standing there, surrounded by workers, pointing and whispering. Dad helped me back to the office. I was trembling all over, not from the pain in my knee, but from those sudden memories that made me. I almost choked. Don't be afraid, Daddy is here. Dad handed me a glass of water, looking worriedly at my pale face. The water glass shook violently in my hand, droplets splashing onto the back of my hand. Icy and piercing, 25 years of marriage flashed before my eyes like a slideshow. I gave birth to a child for Dane Li, but died due to a difficult delivery. The hospital's fluorescent lights stung my eyes as the nurse took my child away. Forever, Dane Li's eyes held no grief, only regret and a hint of relief I didn't understand at the time. 3 months later, he brought back an infant, claiming it was a distant relative's child whose parents had died, and asked me to help raise it. That child was Li Yu. With tears in my eyes, I raised her through all the hardships, pouring all my maternal love into her. I took care of Dane Li's mother day and night, handling all her needs, even until the moment she closed her eyes. She held my hand and said, "Good daughter-in-law." I invested all the dividends from my father's factory into Dane Li's career, funding his education and further studies, all so he could succeed, and he actually had an affair with Hu Xiaoyan behind my back for over 20 years. That day, on the hospital bed in the late stages of liver cancer, and 4 tube was inserted into my withered hand, Dane Li pushed the door open, bringing Hu Xiaoyan and Li Yu with him. "Come, sign it, or I'll let you die in this hospital." He threw the divorce agreement in my face, the cold paper scraping against my chapped lips. "Mom, no, Auntie, stop pretending, you wicked stepmother." Li Yu sneered as she pulled out my oxygen tube. I struggled to breathe, but all I could hear was Hu Xiaoyan's voice. Don't blame Yaya. After all, she is my biological daughter, and you share no blood relation." At that moment, I reached the peak of despair. I grabbed the scalpel from the bedside table and With all my strength, stabbed it into his chest. Rear, Dad's voice pulled me back from the terrifying memory. What's wrong with you? My tears have already soaked my collar. And my nails dug deep into my palms, leaving 4 bloody marks. Dad, I'm fine. I wiped away my tears and took a deep breath. Don't worry, I won't pay any more attention to Dane Lee. Dad breathed a sigh of relief. That's good. I was worried you'd forgive that scoundrel. Just then, the office door was pushed open, and Dane Lee walked in, wearing an ingratiating smile. Father-in-law, I was just confused for a moment. Get out, Dad roared. Dane Lee, however, walked right past Dad and came up to me, his voice suddenly turning scornful. Rear Lin, don't think hiding behind your dad will keep you safe. Did you know, I remember everything about the future. I know you'll hold me back and how many opportunities I'll lose because of you, so this time, I absolutely won't let you. This jinx, ruin my future. I raised my head and met his gaze, the fear in my heart turning into icy resolve. Dane Lee, from now on, you and I are cutting all ties. Putting on such airs, without me, you'd be stuck as a factory worker for the rest of your life, forever living in your father's shadow, an uneducated country girl like you. Who else would want you besides me? Dane Lee, you're fired. Come to the office tomorrow to complete the resignation procedures. Father's voice was icy cold, devoid of any warmth. A flicker of panic flashed in Dane Lee's eyes, but he quickly regained his composure. Director Lin, don't be impulsive. That newly imported machine in the factory, this machine, no one can operate it without me. Dad shook the phone in his hand. I just called the city's technical school, and a new technician will be here tomorrow. There are plenty of people 10 times more capable than you. Don't think you're so special, you. Dane Lee's face turned pale with rage as he pointed at me and roared. Rear Lin, are you satisfied now? You've cost me my job. 3 days later, just as I returned from having lunch at the factory canteen, I saw Dane Lee and Hu Xiaoyan standing at my doorstep. Rear, long time no see. Hu Xiaoyan wore a fake smile on her lips. I ignored her and walked straight toward my door, but Hu Xiaoyan grabbed me by the arm. Don't be so cold, we came all this way to see you, she said, her nails digging deep into my arm. Dane told me. I see, both of you are reborn. What a coincidence. I looked up abruptly, unable to believe my ears. What did you say? Dane Lee wrapped his arm around Hu Xiaoyan's waist and smiled triumphantly. That's right, both Xiaoyan and I remember our past lives. We are destined to be together, a perfect match. Rear, you are so pitiful, Hu Xiaoyan said with feigned sympathy. In your past life, you worked so hard to take care of Dane for 25 years. Yet, you never won his heart, you only held him back. You couldn't even bear a child properly. You're not as good as the daughter I gave him. Did you know, Li Yu is actually my child? You've been raising an outsider for over 20 years for nothing. She looked at me with disdain. In this lifetime, we've decided not to beat around the bush anymore. Dane Lee took an invitation out of his pocket and shoved it into my hand. This is the wedding invitation for me and Xiaoyan. It's next month, coinciding with the day I get promoted at the city machinery factory. How about it, envious? I got into the city machinery factory on my own merit, not through my father-in-law's connections. You'll be stuck in, working as a pitiful wretch in your dad's factory. I opened the invitation, and it was clearly printed with Dane Lee and Hu Xiaoyan's wedding invitation along with a striking line. Special promotion for the groom, head of the technical group at the city machinery factory. In an instant, memories from my past life came flooding back. That spring, when Dane Lee repeatedly failed to get into the city machinery factory, I begged my father to call the old factory director to help, which allowed Dane Lee to enter the factory. 3 months later, I persuaded my father to use our family savings to donate an imported machine to the city machinery factory, in exchange for Dane Lee being promoted to technical team leader. And all of this, Dane Lee never knew. He only thought his abilities had been recognized. What? Jealous? Hu Xiaoyan saw me silent and became even more smug. Too bad, who made Dane and me the perfect match. You're destined to be a supporting character in this life. You're only fit to be a little factory girl in your dad's workshop, or marry an ordinary worker and live an ordinary life. Dane Lee said lightly. She said disdainfully, you're not worthy of someone like us. Dane Lee and Hu Xiaoyan's wedding proceeded as scheduled. With 30 tables of banquets set up at the largest restaurant in the city, I changed into a brand new red dress, applied delicate makeup, and strode into the wedding venue in high heels. The entire room fell silent instantly, with everyone's eyes fixed on me, and whispers rising and falling continuously. Oh my God, is that Ria Lin? Has she no shame to this extent? Isn't she just asking for humiliation? Getting dumped by Dane Lee and still showing up at his wedding, she's absolutely shameless. I heard Dane Lee is now the technical team leader at the city machinery factory. With a bright future ahead, Ria Lin could never measure up to him in this lifetime. Ria Lin, what are you doing here? To cause trouble? To ruin my wedding? Hu Xiaoyan frowned, her voice sharp. You shameless woman. I shrugged. What fault could I possibly find? Dane Lee is now the technical team leader at the city machinery factory. With a bright future ahead, how would I dare to offend him? Upon hearing this, a hint of pride flashed in Dane Lee's eyes. That's only natural. It's not that I'm boasting, but that imported equipment in the city. No one but me. No one knows how to operate it. But I'm the backbone of the technical team. The factory manager thinks very highly of me. Just after my promotion, he gave me a 20,000 yuan bonus. He deliberately raised his voice. This wedding was paid for with the bonus money. The people around gasped in amazement. 20,000 yuan was a huge sum in the late 1980s. Is that so? I smiled meaningfully. So you got promoted because of your outstanding abilities? Dane Lee's expression changed slightly, but he quickly regained his composure. Of course it's real skill. Unlike some people who only rely on their fathers, without any real ability. They can only hide behind their dad and be a good-for-nothing. Just then, there was a commotion at the entrance of the venue. My father walked in wearing a formal suit, holding a document in his hand. Bag, Director Lin is here, someone exclaimed in a low voice. Dane Lee quickly stepped forward. You, Director Lin. It's such an honor to have you here. Dad ignored him and walked straight to me. Ria, I've brought everything. I took the document folder and opened it in front of everyone. Inside was a stack of documents stamped with the official seal of the city machinery factory. Dane Lee, congratulations, I said with a smile, but I'm a bit curious. Do you really know how you got into the city machinery factory? Dane Lee's smile froze, and his eyes flickered uncertainly. Of course. It was because of my skills. I pulled the first document from the file folder, and there it was. A letter of recommendation. Comrade Lin Jiqiong recommends Comrade Dane Lee for employment at the city machinery factory. This is, Dane Lee's voice trembled slightly, this is the recommendation letter my father wrote to the old director of the city machinery factory. I said softly, without this letter, you wouldn't even have had the chance to interview. Not at all, Hu Xiaoyan quickly interjected. So what? Dane was promoted to technical team leader entirely because of his genuine talent and knowledge. I then pulled out the second document, which was an appointment letter. In light of Comrade Lin Jiqiong's special contributions to our factory, he is hereby appointed as the recommended candidate, Comrade Dane Lee, as deputy leader of the technical team. Deputy team leader. Dane Lee was thunderstruck. But I clearly am team leader, Dad sneered, his voice dripping with sarcasm. You can't even read the operation manual for that machine. And yet, team leader, you didn't even finish middle school. It was only because our family tutored you that you got into technical school. What real skills do you have? That's because, Dane Lee stammered, cold sweat beading on his forehead, because I had the manual translated into Chinese for you. Dad interrupted him, otherwise you wouldn't even know how to turn it on. The room fell silent, and everyone stared in shock at the scene. Dane Lee's colleagues exchanged glances, and someone whispered. No wonder he's always so secretive. It turns out he got in through connections. No, that's not it. Dane Lee was so anxious that sweat beaded on his forehead. I really do have the skills. Father took a telegram out of his pocket. This just came from the city machinery factory. They're revoking your position because of your background. He did not have the ability to operate that equipment. What? Dane Lee snatched the telegram, his face turning as pale as paper after reading it. Impossible. What exactly are you? I sneered, just an ordinary worker with a junior high school diploma, who doesn't even understand basic technical principles, can't even figure it out, yet you dare call yourself a technical backbone. Dane Lee's legs gave way, and he knelt on the ground. His eyes filled with disbelief. No, impossible. I clearly remember I was the head of the technical team. Dad said coldly, "You're just an ordinary worker I promoted, not even a technician. That imported equipment was my daughter's dowry, originally meant for you two as a couple, but now," Dad glanced at Hu Xiaoyan, "it seems it was given to the wrong person." Hu Xiaoyan's face turned pale as she quickly grabbed Dane Li's hand. "Dane, don't listen to their nonsense, you are clearly very capable." I walked up to Dane Li, crouched down, and said softly, "Dane Li, without my father's factory, how would you, a middle school graduate, become an engineer? You think you can change your fate just because you were reborn, but you forgot, without me and my father's help, you are nothing." Dane Li's eyes gradually lost focus, and he muttered to himself, "Impossible. I clearly remember, I was a key technical expert. I had the skills." "You remember wrong," I sneered, "or rather, you only remember the parts you want to remember. In your previous life, the only reason you became an engineer was because of my silent support behind the scenes. Yet you and Hu Xiaoyan betrayed me for 25 years. In this life, without my help, you will forever remain just an ordinary worker, not even a technician." Dane Li felt as if struck by lightning. His entire body went limp, and the light in his eyes instantly vanished. Hu Xiaoyan watched the scene, her face turning extremely grim. You lied to me. You said you were the technical team leader with a bright future. Onward." I'm not lying to you," Dane Li weakly defended. "I really remember." "Enough," Hu Xiaoyan screamed. "I don't want to marry a good-for-nothing who can't even keep his job." She tore the red flower from her head and threw it fiercely at Dane Li's face. "The wedding is cancelled. I want to call off the engagement." Dane Li looked at Hu Xiaoyan in despair. "Xiaoyan, didn't you say we were destined to be together, destined by fate?" Hu Xiaoyan sneered. "I thought you had potential, but now it seems, you're not even as good as an ordinary worker. None can compare. I, Hu Xiaoyan, am a city girl. How could I possibly marry a good-for-nothing country boy like you?" Dane Li was as if struck by lightning. His entire body went limp and collapsed to the ground, the light in his eyes instantly fading away. I stood up, looking down at them from above. "What a pity. Your match made in heaven has ended like this. It's over, Dane Li." "Didn't you say I was only fit to be a factory worker?" I said with a smile. "Then guess who is, the one who can only be an ordinary worker now." Dane Li looked up, his eyes filled with despair and resentment. "Ria Lin, you knew all along." "Of course I knew," I said calmly. "I knew that without my father's help, you are nothing. I know that without my sacrifice, you would have remained just an ordinary worker with a junior high school education. I know that you and Hu Xiaoyan have betrayed me for 25 years, and I know that Li Yu is your biological daughter. I know how the three of you forced me to sign the divorce papers while I was on my deathbed with late-stage liver cancer. I know everything. So this time, I choose to let you taste the bitterness of being abandoned." Dane Li's face was as pale as a sheet, his lips trembling too much to speak. Hu Xiaoyan could no longer care about any of this. She grabbed her bag and ran out, saying, "I don't know any of you. All of this is Dane Li, deceiving me." The wedding scene was in complete chaos, with guests getting up and leaving one after another, leaving Dane Li alone kneeling on the spot, like an abandoned, ragged doll. Dad patted my shoulder. "Ria, let's go." I nodded, turned around, and left without giving Dane Li another glance. Stepping out of the wedding venue, the sun was shining brightly, and a gentle breeze brushed against my face. I took a deep breath and felt completely at ease. 3 days after the wedding turmoil, Dane Li received the official dismissal notice from the city machinery factory. Holding that thin piece of paper, he felt as if the world was spinning around him. "Am I really fired?" Dane Li muttered to himself, his eyes vacant. Meanwhile, Hu Xiaoyan was packing her luggage. "Dane Li, you're just a loser," she sneered. "I'm going to find a man who's actually capable, not some fraud who relies on connections." Dane Li knelt on the ground, pleading, "Xiaoyan, don't go. Didn't we agree to start over together?" Hu Xiaoyan scoffed. "Start over, with someone like you trying to turn things around? Dream on." With that, she left without looking back, and I officially took over the technical department of my father's factory. With the experience from my past life and the knowledge I've gained over the years, I quickly demonstrated remarkable talent in the factory. "Ria, you're amazing." My colleagues exclaimed in admiration. You can solve these complex technical problems so effortlessly. I smiled without saying a word, secretly grateful that I had seized the opportunity of rebirth. On the other side, Dane Lee started looking for jobs everywhere but kept hitting walls. Sorry, we don't need people without practical experience. Your resume looks suspicious. We can't hire you. No academic certificate. That's really unfortunate. Eventually, Dane Lee could only work as a temporary laborer at a construction site, earning a meager daily wage and eating the poorest food. Just then, Dane Lee's mother came to my door and yelled at me, "Ria Lin, you vicious woman, you cost my son his job. Do you have any conscience?" I looked at her coldly. "Auntie, are you sure you want to talk to me about conscience?" What do you mean?" Mother Lee was startled by my gaze. I took a deep breath and said slowly, "Do you remember how Dane Lee treated you before his rebirth?" Mother Lee froze. "What rebirth? What nonsense are you talking about? You had liver cirrhosis and were bedridden. As for Dane Lee, he left you alone in a nursing home and didn't even come back to see you during the new year." I said word by word. "In the end, you died alone, with no one to see you off." Mother Lee's face turned pale. "No, impossible. Do you really think Dane Lee loved you?" I sneered. "He couldn't wait for you to die sooner so he could inherit your house." Mother Lee trembled all over, her eyes filled with disbelief. "Ria, how could you know all this? Because in that future, it was I who took care of you all along," I said softly, "until the moment you closed your eyes. The one holding your hand was me, not Dane Lee." Mother Lee burst into tears instantly, collapsing to the ground. "My child, how could I have given birth to such an ungrateful wretch?" I helped Mother Lee up and comforted her gently. "Auntie, what's past is past. In this life, we all have a chance to start over." Mother Lee tightly grasped my hand, choking back sobs as she said, "Ria, I'm sorry. I wronged you." I smiled faintly and replied, "It's all right, Auntie. Just remember, Dane Lee is no good. In the future, if you ever face any difficulties, feel free to come to me." Watching Mother Lee's unsteady figure retreat into the distance, my heart was filled with mixed emotions. Reborn in this life, what changes are not just one's own destiny. 6 months later, our factory introduced a revolutionary new technology, increasing production efficiency by nearly 3 times, making it an industry leader at once, the benchmark of the industry. Director Lin, "You are truly amazing," the colleagues from the technical department exclaimed excitedly. "This technology will put us at least a step ahead of our competitors." 5 years, I smiled and said. This is the result of everyone's collective effort. However, we still need to be cautious about confidentiality, as this technology was hard-won. However, the ambitious Dane Lee did not give up. He started inquiring about our factory's confidential information through his former old colleagues. "Old Wang, I heard your factory has been doing quite well lately," Dane Lee asked casually. "Any new technologies?" Old Wang glanced at him warily. "Dane Lee, why are you asking about this?" Dane Lee chuckled awkwardly. "Nothing, just curious. With our years of friendship, don't you trust me?" I had long anticipated that Dane Lee would make such a move, so I set a trap in advance. I had Old Wang deliberately leak some confidential information, which was actually carefully crafted disinformation. Sure enough, Dane Lee took the bait. Under the cover of night, he sneaked into the factory intending to steal technical documents. Just as he triumphantly obtained the confidential files, security guards suddenly rushed out from all directions. "Dane Lee, you are under arrest," the security captain shouted sternly. "You are suspected of stealing trade secrets." Dane Lee's face turned pale, and his legs went weak. "No, that's not true. At that moment, Hu Xiaoyan, who had somehow gotten the news, unexpectedly appeared at the factory entrance. "Ha ha ha," she shrieked with laughter. "Dane Lee, you're such a failure. You can't even steal something without getting caught." Dane Lee looked at Hu Xiaoyan in despair. "Xiaoyan, how could you?" Hu Xiaoyan sneered. "I came to see you make a fool of yourself. Did you think you could make a comeback? Dream on." Just as everyone thought Dane Lee was about to be sent to prison, I suddenly spoke up. "Wait. I don't intend to hold Dane Lee accountable." The entire room erupted in an uproar. I walked up to Dane Lee, looking down at him from above. "Dane Lee, do you know what you stole?" Dane Lee shook his head in confusion. I opened the folder, and inside was a pile of scrap paper and blank sheets. This is the confidential material you went to such lengths to steal, I said with a cold laugh. I knew you would come to steal it, so, specially prepared for you. Dane Lee instantly broke down. Kneeling on the ground and weeping bitterly, Rear Lin, you're too cruel. I crouched down, looking him straight in the eyes. Dane Lee, let me teach you a lesson. A person must rely on real skills to make a living. Depending on theft and deception, in the end, you'll only end up with nothing. I won't hold you accountable this time, but I hope you remember this lesson. I stood up. Get out, and don't let me see you again. Dane Lee stumbled away. Leaving the stunned crowd and the furious Hu Xiaoyan behind, I turned to the employees and said, everyone, this incident reminds us how important it is to keep technology confidential. From now on, everyone must stay vigilant and protect the fruits of our labor. Seeing the admiration in everyone's eyes, I silently vowed to myself, in this lifetime, I must live a uniquely brilliant life. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye, under my leadership. Our factory has grown into a leading enterprise in the region. General Manager Lin, congratulations on our company winning the Enterprise of the Year award once again, Vice President Zhong Ming said excitedly. I smiled and said, this is the result of the collective efforts of all employees. We must continue to strive for even greater achievements. Just then, a handsome man walked in. His name was Chen Yuan, the president of a well-known investment company. President Lin, I've long heard of your reputation. Chen Yuan extended his hand, his eyes gleaming with sincerity. I greatly admire your talent and courage. We had a delightful conversation and gradually developed feelings of admiration for each other. However, fate is always full of drama. On the other side of the city, Dane Lee and Hu Xiaoyan reunited. Both had fallen into hardship, and when they saw each other, a flicker of malice passed through their eyes. It's all Rear Lin's fault, Dane Lee said through gritted teeth. Hu Xiaoyan sneered, you're only realizing that now. But, I have an idea. They decided to join forces against me, attempting to destroy my career and relationships through improper means. Hu Xiaoyan pretended to repent and actively approached Chen Yuan. Mr. Chen, I am Rear Lin's old friend, she said with feigned warmth. I have some things I'd like to discuss with you. I had long anticipated that they would take action, so I set a trap. At the company annual meeting, I deliberately announced in front of everyone, I want to give special thanks to one person, my fiancé Chen Yuan. He has provided many valuable suggestions for our company. Upon hearing this, Hu Xiaoyan was overjoyed and immediately ran to Chen Yuan's side, trying to cozy up to him. Just then, Dane Lee suddenly rushed out from the crowd. Rear Lin, don't get too cocky. I've already obtained your company's confidential information. I'm going to ruin you. The entire room erupted in an uproar. I sneered, oh really? Then show it to me. Dane Lee triumphantly opened the folder, only to find it filled with blank pages. He was instantly dumbfounded. Everyone, I announced loudly, this is the evidence of someone attempting to steal my company's secrets. Dane Lee, Hu Xiaoyan, you still, what is there to say? The security guard immediately stepped forward and grabbed both of them. Hu Xiaoyan screamed in defense, it's not my fault. It was all Dane Lee's doing. Dane Lee roared, Hu Xiaoyan, you liar, it was clearly your idea. Watching the two of them make fools of themselves, the entire room burst into laughter. At that moment, Chen Yuan suddenly knelt on one knee and took out a diamond ring. Rear, your wisdom and courage have captivated me. Will you marry me? I looked at him in pleasant surprise. You knew about my plan all along. Chen Yuan smiled and said, we share a deep connection. How could I not see it? I understand every move you make. Amid the cheers of the crowd, I nodded in tears and agreed. Watching Dane Lee and Hu Xiaoyan being dragged away by security in such a sorry state, I finally felt a sense of relief. This time, I chose someone truly worthy of my trust, not that Dane Lee who only knew how to betray me. My wedding with Chen Yuan was held at the most luxurious hotel in the city, with a sea of guests and a grand scene. Congratulations, President Lin. Wishing you and President Chen a happy union for 100 years, the employees sincerely blessed. I was dressed in a pure white wedding gown, happily nestling close to Chen Yuan, my heart filled with sweetness. At this moment, I finally possessed the happiness I had never attained in my previous life. However, in a corner of the wedding venue, Dane Lee and Hu Xiaoyan were secretly watching. Look at her smug expression, Dane Lee said through gritted teeth, sooner or later. I'll make her taste the bitterness of pain, Hu Xiaoyan sneered coldly. Don't rush, the opportunity will come eventually. A year into the marriage, my career was thriving, and my married life was happy and fulfilling. However, one afternoon, I suddenly received a photo showing Chen Yuan and his secretary, Xiao Zhong, having an intimate conversation in a cafe. The scene, my heart sank. Could it be that history was repeating itself? Over the next few days, I noticed that Chen Yuan was indeed acting strangely. He often spent time alone with Xiao Zhong and even came home late a few times. Chen Yuan, what's been going on with you lately? I asked tentatively. Chen Yuan was clearly a bit nervous. It's nothing, just busy with work. My doubts grew stronger. At the same time, after Dane Lee learned the news, he began spreading rumors everywhere. Have you heard? Ria Lin's husband cheated on her. She deserves it. Who told her to treat me like that back then? It seems her good days are over. Faced with the swirling rumors and gossip, I didn't panic but calmly began to investigate. After some discreet observation, I discovered that Xiao Zhong often met with a familiar figure. It turned out to be Hu Xiaoyan. So that's it, I suddenly realized. This is a trap. I immediately found Chen Yuan and told him about my discovery. To my surprise, Chen Yuan wasn't shocked but instead breathed a sigh of relief. Ria, I was just about to tell you about this. It turned out that Chen Yuan had long discovered there was a mole in the company, and Xiao Zhong was the undercover he had arranged to lure out the mastermind behind it all. They pretended to be close just to make the real mole let their guard down. I didn't want you to worry, so I didn't tell you in advance, Chen Yuan said guiltily. I never expected it was Hu Xiaoyan behind it. Behind the scenes, I held Chen Yuan's hand tightly. Let's solve this problem together. We set up a trap, pretending to have marital issues, to lure Hu Xiaoyan and Xiao Zhong into showing themselves. At the company dinner, Hu Xiaoyan couldn't hold back and openly provoked me. Ria Lin, I heard your husband cheated on you. How pitiful. I pretended to be in pain and lowered my head, while Chen Yuan feigned anger and left the table. Just as Hu Xiaoyan was gloating, I suddenly looked up and said coldly, Hu Xiaoyan, the game is over. The security guard brought Xiao Zhong in, and Xiao Zhong was holding a recording. Hu Xiaoyan, you instructed me to get close to General Manager Chen and sabotage. The evidence of their marriage is all here. Hu Xiaoyan's face turned deathly pale. You betrayed me, Xiao Zhong sneered. I've been on General Manager Chen's side from the very beginning. You were just too foolish to see it. Chen Yuan walked to my side and tightly held my hand. Ria, I'm sorry for making you worry. I smiled and shook my head. I believe in you. I always have. Watching Hu Xiaoyan being escorted away by security in such a sorry state, Chen Yuan and I exchanged a smile. This crisis not only did not destroy our marriage, but instead made our bond even stronger. After Hu Xiaoyan's scheme was exposed, Dane Lee did not let it go at that. By forging his resume and technical certificates, he successfully applied and became a technical consultant for our biggest competitor, Hongda Machinery. General Manager Lin, this is bad. Zhong Ming rushed into my office in a panic. Hongda Machinery has poached 3 of our key clients. In the days that followed, our company suffered a series of blows. Orders were snatched away, equipment malfunctioned, and raw material supplies were cut off. A series of questions followed one after another. This is no coincidence. Chen Yuan frowned and said, someone must be pulling strings behind the scenes. Sure enough, not long after, Dane Lee appeared in a media interview as a technical consultant for Hongda Machinery. Our Hongda Machinery is about to launch a revolutionary new product, Dane Lee said triumphantly, which will definitely make some who rely on their family, enterprises with an ethnic background often taste the bitterness of failure. This blatant provocation ignited a fire of anger within me. But I refrained from acting impulsively. Ria, don't be angry, Chen Yuan comforted me. He's trying to provoke you, to make you lose your composure. I calmed down and began to investigate Dane Lee's background. Soon, I uncovered a crucial clue. Dane Lee did not possess the reputation he claimed to have. All those technical qualifications and work experience he claimed were fabricated. This is his weakness, I said to Chen Yuan, but we can't rush to expose him. We have to wait for the best moment. I began secretly gathering evidence. Dane Lee's forged certificates, fake work history, plagiarized technical plans, everything was recorded by me one by one. Meanwhile, our company has also been quietly adjusting its strategy to counter Hongda Machinery's malicious competition. Finally, the annual industry exhibition arrived. This is the most important event in the industry, where all key clients and media will attend. On the day of the exhibition, Dane Lee stood in front of Hongda Machinery's booth, introducing their upcoming revolutionary, new product. This technology was entirely developed by me independently, Dane Lee said arrogantly. It will completely change the landscape of the entire industry. At that moment, I stepped forward, holding a stack of documents. Dane Lee, are you sure this technology was developed by you independently? Dane Lee's face changed. Of course, are you questioning me? I sneered and turned to everyone present. Ladies and gentlemen, I am about to expose a fraud. I began to present the evidence one by one. Dane Lee's forged academic credentials, plagiarized technical proposals, fabricated work experience. This is the technical consultant that Hongda Machinery takes such pride in, I said sarcastically. A fraud who can't even grasp the basic technical principles and doesn't understand a thing. Dane Lee turned pale and stammered in defense. You're lying. All of this is fake. I played my final trump card, a technical proposal personally signed by Dane Lee, riddled with amateur mistakes. These are errors even a beginner wouldn't make, I said coldly. Dane Lee, the game is over. The clients and media present erupted in an uproar, while the representative of Hongda Machinery turned livid and immediately announced the termination of their collaboration with Dane Lee. Relationship. Dane Lee completely broke down, kneeling on the ground and weeping bitterly. Ria Lin, why are you doing this to me? I looked down at him condescendingly. You brought this upon yourself. Dane Lee, you never learned to rely on your real abilities to make a living. After the exhibition incident, Dane Lee's nightmare had only just begun. Hongda Machinery sued him for fraud, demanding massive compensation. Dane Lee is suspected of fraud and has been taken away by the police for investigation, the news anchor said seriously. If convicted, he will face up to 7 years of imprisonment. Upon hearing the news, Hu Xiaoyan immediately distanced herself from Dane Lee. She married a nouveau riche, thinking she had found a supporter. But he didn't know that this man only treated her as a servant in the house. Hu Xiaoyan, mop the floor clean, her husband ordered harshly, and my friends are coming tonight, so you better behave properly. At your service. Hu Xiaoyan knelt on the floor, wiping it with tears in her eyes, and couldn't help but smile bitterly as she recalled her past pride and ambition. This was the price she paid for choosing betrayal, someone's fate, and my company gained fame after that exhibition. With orders pouring in, 3 years later, we became a nationally renowned machinery manufacturing enterprise and received the National Award for Scientific and Technological Progress. Congratulations, President Lin. At the awards ceremony, the leader warmly shook my hand. Your company has made an outstanding contribution to our country's machinery manufacturing industry. I smiled as I accepted the trophy, my heart filled with pride. All of this was earned through genuine skill and unwavering effort. Yes, meanwhile, my family with Chen Yuan is also happy and harmonious. I gave birth to a pair of adorable twins, and our family is full of joy, harmonious. Ria, you've worked hard, Chen Yuan said gently as he held me. Having a wife and mother like you is the greatest blessing for me and the children. Happiness. I leaned on his shoulder, my heart full of gratitude. Thank you for always supporting me, Chen Yuan. With you by my side, I've been able to come this far. One day 5 years later, I was taking a walk with my children in the park when I suddenly noticed a shabbily dressed homeless man crouching in a corner. The man looked up, and to my surprise, it was actually Dane Lee. He recognized me too, a complex mix of emotions flashing in his eyes: surprise, shame, resentment, regret. Lin, Ria Lin, he said hoarsely. You're doing well, I see. I looked at him calmly. Dane Lee, you're out of prison. He gave a bitter smile. I got out 3 years ago. But no one wants to hire someone like me. Looking at his haggard face, the anger I once felt was gone, replaced by a trace of pity. Dad, who is this uncle? My son asked curiously. Chen Yuan held the child's hand. It's nothing, just an old acquaintance of your mom's. Dane Lee looked at my happy family, his eyes filled with regret. Ria, if only I hadn't. I interrupted him. Dane Lee, what's done is done. I don't hate you anymore, but I won't forgive you either. I took a few hundred yuan from my wallet and handed it to him. Take this, find a job, and start over. Dane Lee trembled as he took the money, tears streaming down his face. Thank you, thank you. I turned and walked away, holding the hands of my child and husband, stepping into a bright future. Behind me was Dane Lee kneeling on the ground, his lifelong regret and remorse. In this life, I am no longer the deceived and abandoned Rear Lin. I have taken control of my own destiny and found true happiness. And Dane Lee, forever trapped in the bitter fruit he sowed, unable to turn his life around. This is the best retribution. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment below. See you in the next video.